Radha Ramana Hari Govind Jai Jai.
History of Vaishnavism. We come in a very, very long line, lineage, spiritual lineage, the longest spiritual lineage on the planet, in the universe. What is Vaishnavism? Vaishnavism means the worship of Vishnu Tattva. Means worshipping the Supreme Lord, the source of all the universe, the source of all living entities, rather than worshipping the demigods, or rather than trying to become absorbed into the divine oneness, Brahman realization. So, Vaishnavism includes worship of Vishnu, of course, from the name, and also worship of Krishna. Because Vishnu, Krishna, it's the same tattva, the same Vishnu tattva. Vishnu is actually Krishna, but he's not manifesting all of his potency. But it's the same personality. There's different forms of Vaishnavism. There's pure Vaishnavism, which means worshipping Krishna or Vishnu simply to please them and serve them. That's one kind of Vaishnavism. And another kind of Vaishnavism, mixed Vaishnavism, mixed Bhakti, where the person who's practicing either wants material benefit, so they're worshipping Vishnu, oh, please you be so kind as to give me money, give me a good wife, give me a good position. Or they're worshipping in order to get liberation. From our point of view, it sounds pretty wild that how could anyone worship Vishnu or Krishna and then want to merge into the impersonal Brahman, because Krishna is so attractive. But many people are so fixed in their conception that this is the perfection, and they're weak in their attraction to the personal form, so they opt for liberation. And they think, hey, this is good business. You can do meditation for thousands and thousands of years and you may not get liberation, but just chant Hare Krishna, just chant the holy name, and very easily you can get liberation. So they chant Hare Krishna in ecstasy because they understand, oh, I'm getting my desired goal. And actually the only way of merging into Brahman effectively is to worship Krishna or Vishnu. If you just take up the cultivation of knowledge, this is just in the mode of goodness, and it won't lead to Brahmajyoti, it won't lead to Brahman. In Jaiva Dharma, one personality there, he has a doubt that when did Vaishnavism appear? He thinks, oh, I don't know. I've read all the scriptures, I don't find it in Nyaya Shastra, the Shastra of Logic, all the scriptures. I don't see any mention of Vaishnavism, so where's it come from? Jaiva Dharma is set maybe less than 100 years after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So he's thinking that, well, maybe Vaishnavism just appeared with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's recent. And many scholars, they say the same. Modern scholars. They say that the Vedas, the original Vedic culture, is teaching yajna, sacrifice, worship of the demigods. And the Upanishads are recommending impersonal worship. And they say Bhakti is a medieval phenomenon. So they're also of the opinion that it came, say, around Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time or earlier with Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya and so on. This conclusion is incorrect. And that's not just our opinion. This is fact. We see from the Shastras. There's always been opposition to Bhakti from the side of the Brahmanas. And we should understand the distinction between the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. What is the disagreement between them? In conventional Hindu society, and before that in Varnashram society, the Brahmanas are the heads of society. Bhusara. They're the lords of the earth. They're performing religious rituals, they have the religious principles, and they're guiding everybody else in society. And society can't go on properly without the Brahmanas. Society is run on the basis of the interaction between the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas, means the teachers, the saintly teachers, and the rulers. So the rulers don't act independently. They act under the guidance of the Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas, they're completely renounced. They have no interest in material gain at all. When Chanaka Pandit went to help Chandragupta, so he had a straw hut, he was living on the outskirts of town, he had his group of disciples. So when it was decided that he was going to help Chandragupta defeat the Muslims or Yavanas, so they simply lifted his hut and put it in the grounds of the palace, of Chandragupta's palace. And he was living in the palace, still very simply. And after the whole thing was concluded, and Chandragupta, as far as I remember, he married the daughter of Alexander the Great, then they took Chanaka Pandit's straw hut back to where he lived, and he just continued living like this. Completely renounced. So, Vaishnavism, Brahmins, although they're heads of society, it's a material designation. They're in the mode of goodness. This is in Varnashram society. Vaishnavism is something different. Pure Vaishnavism is something different. Pure Vaishnavism, this is the original Jaiva Dharma. It's the original occupation of the soul. Loving Krishna, loving the Supreme Lord, and serving the Supreme Lord. It's not a material designation. It's not a title, it's not a position in society. It's actually the function of the soul. It's the real occupation of the soul. So we have a very strange situation, that it may be that if somebody has taken up bhakti, even though he may have come from a low position of society or even outside of society, Varnashram society, Vedic society, but if he's sincerely engaged in bhakti, then he's on a higher position, from Krishna's point of view, he's on a higher position than a brahmana who may be purified from the social point of view, from the point of view of the modes of material nature, but he's not actually engaged in worship of Krishna. Supreme example of that is Srila Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur took birth in a Muslim family, so from the point of view of Hindu society, he's a complete outcast. Yet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu honoured him above so many brahmanas. When Advaita Acharya, he was performing Shraddha, his ceremony for his ancestors. So at that time, all the learned brahmanas come, because it's well known that he'll give the Shraddha plate, the prasad, to the most elevated person in society, in the assembly, and give charity to all the brahmanas there. So all the brahmanas came. And Advaita Acharya gave the plate to Haridas Thakur, who's an outcast, Mlecha. The brahmanas were outraged. What is going on? They left. It's such an insult. And then somehow or other they came to understand, Advaita Acharya, he's a very, very learned brahmana, there must be some reason. So Advaita Acharya explained that because Haridas Thakur, he was completely engaged in worship of the transcendental Lord. So his position is transcendental and superior to the elevated material position of the brahmanas. So the first created being in this universe is Brahmaji. And Brahma is a Vaishnava. Brahma is born from the lotus flower, from the navel of Garbhadakshayi Vishnu. Darkness. He tries to find out where he's come from. He goes down the stem of the lotus, and there's raging water he can't find. So he comes back, and he's sitting in the darkness on the lotus petal, and then he hears tapa, tapa, tapa. Austerity. So he performs austerity for a long, long time. And as a result of the austerity, Narayan became pleased with him and actually came personally. He shook hands with Lord Brahma, showed him the spiritual world. Brahmaji also got initiation from Krishna's flute. So he's the first Vaishnava. And he's the head of our Sampradaya. He manifested many saints and sages, amongst whom the most prominent one is Narad. Narad is born from the heart of Brahma. And Narada Muni, in his 2 lifetimes previously, he was a Gandharva. He sang very beautifully. But unfortunately, he also liked to associate with ladies. So on one occasion, he was singing kind of the Heavenly Planet version of pop songs with some ladies outside an assembly of the demigods, or the sages, and they became angry with him. There's a big disturbance, and they cursed him, that you have no culture, you'll be born as a Shudra. So then he was born as the son of a serving lady. But that serving lady, on one occasion, 4 great saintly persons came. Gurudev says these are the 4 Kumars. And they stayed for the Chaturmasya, the time of the rainy season. And Narad Muni was hearing from them. Future to be Narad. He was hearing from them. He took the remnants of their prasadam. And when they left, they initiated him into the Vishnu Vasudev mantra. So then, soon after they left, his mother was bitten by a snake. And he left home immediately. And he went to the forest, began to meditate. And then he had darshan of Lord Narayan. And then at the end of that lifetime, he got a spiritual body. He went into the body of Brahma, into the body of Mahavishnu at the end of that day of Brahma. Or at the end of that creation. And then later on, he came out and he manifested as the son of Brahmaji. So he's very, very exalted. He's a personification of Bhakti. His empowered incarnation for spreading Bhakti. So he had many eminent disciples. Prahlad Maharaj was a disciple of Narad Muni. When Hiranyakashipu, the great demon, was performing austerities, so the demigods wanted to capture Kayadu, his mother, and when the child was born, she was pregnant, when the child was born they would kill the child. Narad Muni came and said, no, this child is a very great devotee. So he kept the pregnant mother in his ashram for a long time, many, many years, while Hiranyakashipu was performing austerities. And then when Hiranyakashipu came back, she went back to Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad was born. Prahlad never, after his birth, he never met Vaishnavas, but he remembered all the instructions of Narad Muni to his mother. So he was pure devotee from birth. And then we know there was a great argument between Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu. And in the end, Krishna came as Nrsimhadev to kill Hiranyakashipu when he tortured Prahlad. Valmiki also, he was a disciple of Narada Muni. Valmiki was a dacoit, killed so many people. And Narada Muni came and asked him, Valmiki wanted to kill him. Narada Muni said, stop. And he couldn't move. So, this is a very powerful person. Then Narada Muni says, I'm interested. Why are you engaged in dacoitry? You're so much sinful action. Why? He says, to maintain my family. A man's got to maintain his family. He says, but there's so much sinful reaction from that. Is your family going to accept the sinful reactions as well? I suppose so. Narada Muni said, why don't you ask them? So he asked his mother and father. I said, no. He said, but I'm doing it to support you. He said, well, that's your business. You're our son. It's your business to support us. We're not going to accept sinful reactions. That's your business. Then he asked his wife. She also said, no. It's your business to support me. I'm not going to accept the sinful reactions. And Valmiki was astounded. And he came back to Narada Muni and begged Narada Muni to help him. Narada Muni said, okay, you stop your dacoitry, you'll have to chant the holy name, Ram. But Valmiki was so sinful, he couldn't chant the holy name, Ram. Narada Muni was okay. You know what is death? Oh yes, I know what is death. Mara. Okay, you chant Mara, 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 Mara. So Valmiki was chanting 60,000 years, and in the end he became a self-realized sage. And Brahmaji personally inspired him how to chant in Anustup. This is the special meter of Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, and also Ramayana. So then Valmiki, he wrote the whole of Ramayana even before it took place. Another disciple of Narada Muni. And then Prahlad Maharaj, his grandson is Bali Maharaj. Another great Vaishnava. Bali Maharaj, he met with Vamanadev. Bali Maharaj conquered the whole universe. He was so powerful. And having conquered the universe, so the demigods, they prayed, the mother of the demigods got a boon that Vamanadev would appear from her womb and regain the universe. So Vamanadev came, very, very, extremely beautiful little dwarf, charmed Bali Maharaj. And Bali Maharaj said, okay, I'll give you whatever you want. And Vamanadev said, I just want 3 steps of land by my measure. He's just a little kid, looked like. Okay, Bali Maharaj has agreed. And then Vaman, he expanded, and with 2 steps he covered the whole of the universe, and he pierced the covering of the universe, and then Ganga came through. And he said, where am I going to put my last step? So Bali Maharaj, so he put on my head. So he became Mahajan. So many elevated disciples and grand disciples of Narad Muni. And then the great Vyasadeva is also a disciple of Narad Muni. Vyasadeva had compiled the whole Vedas, he'd written Mahabharata, Itihasas, Puranas, but still he wasn't satisfied. And just as he was contemplating, the Narad Muni came and said, what's the problem? You look as though you're not satisfied. Vyasadeva, yeah, I don't know why. You're the doctor. In Western medicine, when somebody goes to the doctor, they have to tell the doctor what's wrong. And then the doctor gives some medicine. But in Ayurvedic medicine, the patient doesn't have to say anything. The doctor just feels the pulse, 3 different pulses, and he'll explain what's the problem and how to treat it. So Vyasadeva said, oh, you're the doctor, you have to see. So Narad Muni said, I think you haven't described the pastimes of Krishna. Have you described? Yes. But have you described the pastimes in Vrindavan? Yes, I have. And what about the pastimes with the gopis? Yeah, I've described them also. And then Narad Muni said, have you described how Krishna's having a picnic with the cowherd boyfriends? And they're wrestling and sometimes they defeat him? Oh no, I didn't know that. And have you described how Mother Yashoda is chasing Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and tying him up to a grinding water, sometimes twisting his ear and smacking his bottom? Oh no. And have you described how the gopis are chastising him and how he's sometimes praying to them, please don't leave me, please don't leave me? No, how could I know? So Narada Muni then, he instructed Vyasadeva, he said, you're fully qualified and you can see all this in Samadhi. And he instructed him how to enter into Samadhi. And then Vyasadeva, Narada Muni left, Vyasadeva entered into Samadhi. And in Samadhi he saw all the pastimes of Krishna with his devotees, Narayan with his devotees, the creation, everything, and then the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, in Mathura and Dwaraka. So he described everything. So we see that Vaishnavism has been in existence since the very beginning of the creation. And there have been Vaishnavas, there's a whole unbroken line of Vaishnavas since the dawn of time in the creation. So Vaishnavism, it's very ancient lineage. We're very fortunate. We're coming in a very ancient line, spiritual line. Hare Krishna.